Hi friends! You could probably tell already by the title and entry of this video that we're taking a look at the new Wayne Goss holiday brush for 2021. But if it's your first time here, hi! I'm Alicia, thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you are returning, well, thank you for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I am a fitness professional who loves things all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeups, you can head over to my Instagram. If you also want to find out what my virtual class schedule is like, well then please sign up for my newsletter down below. A huge thank you to Beautylish and Wayne Goss for sending over this beauty of a brush. I have been buying Wayne Goss holiday brushes since 2018, but that was not the start of the holiday brush lineup. Wayne Goss released his first holiday brush, I believe it was in 2015. It was like a finishing brush that I am kicking myself for not picking up. It looked like this. Hold on. This is a Tansedo finishing brush, but Wayne's 2015 holiday brush took on a similar shape. It was pinched on the sides and flat, and it had like a floppy feel because it was meant to be for finishing. After everything has been applied, you'll buff everything in with your favorite loose powder or shimmery, like the meteorite pearl powder, something like that. And in 2016, it was the artist brush, very much inspired by a calligraphy brush made in Japan. Beautiful artist brush. I unfortunately do not have that one. I do have the artist collection, but just to give you some context, 2017, again, still a simp, he released a brush that took on a very traditional shape usually found in Fude. It was long bristled, very soft. It might have been gray squirrel, although I'm not entirely sure. Meant for finishing and highlighting, I think Wayne had mentioned at the time. And in 2018, we were blessed with the fan brush. I have two of these because when I first tried this brush, I was immediately in love in terms of how multitasking it is. Although a fan brush, you could use it for blush, which I loved this for. I remember specifically when speaking about this brush in 2018 that I love to use it with my Milk Cosmetics powder brush in Honey Thief. And in 2019, we had the big Mama fan brush, and in comparison to 2018's brush, looking at a much bigger brush head design. And I love the fact that Wayne went with a white handle and beautiful gold ferrule. This definitely, for me, speaks holiday. Now, you can help me out, fam, or maybe I'll just do a little bit more research while editing this video. Did he come out with something in 2020? I can't recall. If he did, let me know down below, but now we have this brush for 2021. Oh, and if you're wondering, why do you have makeup on all of a sudden? Well, the heater guys just came in, and that doesn't make for great background noise. Neither does sitting in front of my window, but that's another conversation. So I slapped on some makeup, and while we're at it, let's get into the details of the brush. At the time of filming, I don't have the official details yet because we only have the sign up page on Beautylish, but my friend Pam was so kind to confirm with Beautylish that the hair type is undyed Psycho Goat, very soft. But as you can see from the construction of the brush, which Wayne himself, and I would recommend that you watch that video, unlike anything he had released prior to this year for holiday or any of his face brush collections, it has a short handle with a flat base, beautiful grooves on the handle and the ferrule, and both the handle and ferrule have this matte black finish that I feel makes it so sophisticated, elegant, and minimalist in design and feel. And you can see from the brush head how pack full this is of the bristles. This is Wayne's fullest brush he has ever released. Just used it today because I washed it yesterday, so you are seeing this brush in its full fluff capacity. I just used it to apply the makeup that I have on now, but I could say with confidence that this is the softest foundation brush he has in his collection thus far. The smaller foundation brushes that are found in his other collections are that stippled goat hair synthetic mix that can feel stabby. And my other favorite foundation brush from Wayne is his synthetic brush, the 24S. This is synthetic, which was a favorite for me and still is. From all the foundation brushes that I own, to have a fan synthetic brush for foundation application I thought was genius, and the way it could get around the brows and around the grooves of your nose, again, incredible. But now to have a buffing tight brush of this size and of this density, but still it be soft, we got a winner. Here I applied the Alicia Eldridge Seamless Skin Foundation in number 22 and mixed it with the Auric Glow Lust Radiant Luminizer in Pyrite. Wayne has suggested that you dot the foundation on your face first so the brush doesn't absorb as much makeup, because if you were to pour the liquid foundation directly on the bristles, not only will you get more coverage with that application, but the brush will just have more product in the bristle. Just to prevent that from happening, I do prefer, as he does, to place my foundation on the face first, and then I'll go in with the brush to buff the product in. As you could probably tell from this demo, the flat surface area of the brush just delivers that beautiful buff finish. The bristles glide on my skin in a silky tight fashion. They don't feel stabby. It does not feel uncomfortable. In fact, it is a joy to use. I could go in with a circular type of application. I could go in with the paint down method. Any technique I decide to use with this brush is going to feel fantastic on my skin. And I identified that immediately when I first opened the brush from the package and felt it when I was washing it and when it dried. Like, it reminds me, and Wayne had mentioned this as well, like those old school shave brushes where they have the big brush that will apply the shaving cream around the beard area. This is like that type of a brush, and I've always been intrigued by those size brushes because it's like, wouldn't that be great for foundation? And here we are. Wayne came through with that design. And other things. So he had mentioned not only did he want a brush for makeup application, but he was like, what if you wanted to use a brush for cleanser? I'm like, oh, that's interesting. As well as self tanner. So he also designed this brush if you wanted to use it as a cleansing tool. Like, you remember the Clarisonic brush that was all the rage years ago? I had one. I did. I stopped using it because I felt that it was too much aggravation on my skin, despite the fact that I used the sensitive one. Anyway, Wayne said that you can use this with your favorite cleanser, and if I were to do that, I would probably buy a separate brush if I decided to go that route and have one separately for my makeup. What concerns me is the fact that this is still undyed goat hair, and this type of a bristle is recommended to be washed once a month. With the bristles being exposed to water and detergents that often, I'm not entirely sure how long it will last. Maybe Wayne already took that into consideration and he used his brush with cleansers for a long period of time and his brush is still intact. I don't know for sure. For myself, maybe I'll use it once with my cleanser just to see how it goes. I don't think I would implement this into my cleansing routine long term, because for me it's just not practical to do that. With self tanner, however, something I considered doing over the course of the winter season to not look sallow yellow, I think this is a great tool to use with your self tanner, because one of the challenges I think we encounter is ensuring that the self tanner applies evenly across our face, because we don't want the patchiness of self tanner to occur on the complexion. Okay, to have a brush like this will ensure a more even application, and the fact that the formula will buff evenly into the skin, I think will ensure a beautiful self-tanning application. And if that was something you were struggling with, if you do use self-tanner on the skin, well, let me know if you decide to get the Wayne Goss brush and use it with self-tanner. I think I might. I haven't purchased a self-tanner product as of yet. Throw your recommendations down below. When I do, I would love to use that brush with it and see how it goes. Back to makeup, however, as you saw, great with liquid foundation, and I could only imagine how it would be equally beautiful with a cream foundation, especially a stick formula. So even with the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Foundation or the Huda Beauty Full Filter Stick Foundation, those formulas I think are fantastic with these types of brushes, because usually, or as I do, I like to apply the stick foundation on my face first and get that product buff well so it can appear skin-like and finished, because I do think having this density and flat surface area allows for that soft focused finish to occur, because I mean, there's so many bristles in here that there will be no product left behind. Okay. I also went in with loose powder, as Wayne has suggested you can also use this brush with. I would rather go in with a longer bristled, fluffier brush with loose powder. That's just my preference, although I recognize you can totally use this brush with loose powder. Probably not my favorite way to go. If you have mineral foundation, however, or powder foundation, I went in with the Shiseifo Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Powder Foundation in 350 Maple. friends. First of all, the texture of this powder foundation is silky, okay? To have it on this brush and to then apply it on my skin, it was like I was applying silk. It was unlike anything I was expecting, and I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe I was expecting something that didn't feel as smooth, that it will start and stop. No, the way this brush applied the powder foundation now makes me want to use this product more. I will also use it with my Kat Fix powder foundation. I have a lot on standby, but I think I was just waiting for the right brush, and this one is it. Dare I say that I rather use this with my powder foundation more than my liquid foundation, because I have a lot of liquid foundation favorites. BK Beauty's 101 contour brush, which is quintessential foundation brush for me. The Bishoto puff brush, which I love for not only foundation but cream bronzer and cream blush. The Chikuhodo, I believe this is the PF something, very similar to the Hokuro puff brush as well. And I also, how can I forget the classic Koyudo brush, which for the life of me, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere, it's safe. I just put it away because I definitely have to spruce up how I store my brushes, so when I look for one, I can find it. As much as I love that brush, I feel the design is more appropriate for the paint down method versus buffing around, because I think with a flat surface like this, I'm more inclined to apply my foundation in a circular fashion. Now, one thing I wanted to point out that you could probably identify the major difference is, although these densities, I mean, this is much more dense than the Bishoto, but a puff brush is round on the edges, whereas Wayne's is flat on one side, and I don't know if you can see that on screen. So by how the ferrule is designed, you have this long flat side that I think clever to maneuver around your brows, because I think that is a challenge that we encounter using a big brush like this for the areas of our face that we need more precision with, as for instance, again, around the brow area, around the nose area. With the brush having that flat edge, I think it's easier to maneuver than other bigger brushes out there because of that specific design feature. And very big for under the eyes, but just for kicks and giggles, I wanted to see how it would do in blending out my concealer. And it's a big brush for under the eyes. I have plenty of brushes that I can use for my concealer blending, but if I was in a pinch and this was the only brush that I had and I needed the concealer on, I could use my fingers, dabbity dab dab, or again, I could just use the flat edge of my brush to blend it out, and I was able to get it done. Another product that I loved using this brush with was the Saie Sun Melt Cream Bronzer in the shade medium. I was able to apply the cream bronzer successfully. There were no issues in that department, but because I have a lot of brushes and I just like to diversify what I use, I would just use another one. But if you have a much smaller collection and you wanted to find out what are the other products that I can use this brush with, I just wanted to present as many possibilities as possible, because this is going to be expensive. Judging from how many bristles this has, maybe we're looking at the 100s, most 150. Now, quick note about size practicality. You can see that it's wider than Wayne's typically designed face brushes, but what I like about it is that you see the flat base here. It can stand up on its own, and this could be your stay-at-home brush. You'll have it propped on your vanity, your desk, whatever you work on. What you might encounter is if you choose to travel with this brush, now you could put it in the brush holder, the cylinder one that stands up. It's going to take up more space simply because it's wider all around, right? So if you're one to travel with a lot of brushes, you might be limited in that respect. If you like to use a brush book, this is the newly released BK Beauty brush travel pouch, which I love because it's more structured than like my Hakuhodo brush case, which closes more tightly. The advantage to having something more structured like this is because it doesn't squish all the way. I can still place the brush in the holder, close it, and it's not going to enclose on the bristles tightly. So if you are wondering about that, those would be my tips, because again, something like the Hakuhodo brush holder that doesn't have the same structure as the BK Beauty one is going to close more tightly, and you might squish the bristles, and when you arrive at your destination, unfortunately, the brush will be terribly misshapen. You could put a brush guard on it for sure, but it's going to be more compact, and if you want it to be more fluffy, then you will have to figure out a way say in how to maintain the shape while traveling, so when you get again to your destination, the brush won't be misshapen and will be ready to go for performance. I'm actually going to Bae's house later, and I'm taking these brushes with me, but you see, I mean, this brush takes up a lot of space, right? So unfortunately, if you wanted to bring along others, you will have to choose probably the smaller versions. Like for instance, I'm bringing along my Yano series brush that I use not only for under eye setting but for highlight, which I could get away with because great for these tasks, and the brush is not super big, as opposed to me maybe bringing along this one. This is bigger. I could accomplish the same tasks, but because I choose to bring along the Wayne Goss foundation brush, I'm going to have to choose smaller brushes for the other tasks for my makeup application. So there you have it, fam. Let me know if you plan on grabbing Wayne Goss's new holiday brush for this year, if you have other ones from previous years, if you're skipping on it. Of course, I would highly recommend it, actually more so for powder foundation application, because that was the task that I was most impressed by. I will definitely share more observations as I continue using the brush, but again, let me know your thoughts down below. I'll see you down in the comments, and until then, fam, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you in here again with another review tutorial, Wayne Goss Holiday Brush Extravaganza, monthly favors or eyeshadow tutorial. Take care, and I will see you again soon.